I'll call the meeting of City Council from Monday, June 2nd, 2025 to order. For those joining us from online, you'll notice I am not the mayor. He's away, so I'll be chairing the meeting today. We'll try and make this as painless as possible for everybody. Before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge here in the city of Dawson Creek, we are privileged to live and work on Treaty 8 territory in the traditional home of the Cree, Deneza, Saulteaux, Sicanni, and Slavey First Nations. We value the Métis people that live and gather here. We commit to upholding the respectful relationships these nations have built with the land, and we acknowledge our responsibility to carry that forward today and into the future. So welcome, and I understand we have a student in the audience with us today.
Hello everybody, my name is Evelina Nesterova. I'm a student third year of Law Enforcement Program, Bachelor of Law Enforcement in Justice Institute of British Columbia. I'm completing a task, meeting my multicultural society that I'm living already 4 years in, and I'm very pleased to having me here.
Well, thank you for coming to see our work and take an interest. We appreciate that, and welcome. Moving into item 2, delegations. 2.1, Sheena Haaf, Executive Director, and Tara Tom, Chair of the Board of Directors, Nawican Friendship Center, are in attendance today to give us an update on their programming and servicing. Welcome, both of you. If you'd please take a seat at the delegation table, and it looks like the red light is already on, so somebody just needs to give you a hot mic, then we're off to the races. Thank you and welcome.
Red light's on. There we go. Oh. Okay, hello, I'm Sheena Haaf. I am, sorry, a little nervous.
Don't be.
I was born and raised here in Dawson Creek. I'm the ED at the Nawican Friendship Center. I'm Cree from Deneta. Northern Alberta by high level. That's where my band's from. So I've been with the Nawican Friendship Center for 4 years now. I've been the executive director for a year. And I just come to give you guys an update on some of the programs and services that we've been doing. Sorry, am I loud enough? Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah?
thank you.
Should I introduce myself? Oh, yeah, sorry. See, I'm nervous.
Oh, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Tara Tom. I've been in Dawson Creek for about 35 years. I'm a proud Gitsan member from Hazelton. I am a real estate agent when I'm not, sitting behind a desk or anywhere else. I've been the chair of the board of directors for just a couple of months. I have been sitting on the board of directors for a couple of years, and we're happy to see what Sheena's been up to the last year that she's been in charge over there. So we're looking forward to many great things that are coming up, and Sheena will give the update because I don't like public speaking. Thanks for having us.
At the Nawican Friendship Center, we have 31 employees. 15 employees work for the emergency shelter. We recently, just an update on some of the buildings. We recently had to close our doors at 1320 102nd due to some infrastructure. We're working with Tryon to figure out why the building is sinking on one side, so that building is closed. So we moved all our services to the Nawican Burgeon Youth and Cultural Center on 17th Street. So just over the last year, we served over 15,000 people, and our point of contacts was 185,000 over the last year. We work with 35 organizations around Dawson Creek and the surrounding area, and together we just tried to help the people, the vulnerable people, and anyone. So some of the services that we provide at the Nawican Burgeon Youth and Cultural Center, we do employment readiness. We help pay for first aid, H2S, resumes, get people off to jobs. We help with work clothing. We do workshops. We help support with people getting to college, paying for seats, paying for books. We have our youth center, so we have free youth counseling. We do lots of cultural teachings, TP making, dream catchers. We do spring break and summer break programs for the children. We take them on medicine walks to teach them about the traditional medicines. And just some other things. We do movie days. We have a drop-in from 9 to 5 for kids to come in. Another one of our services we do client support. So client support, we help with like rental arrears, bills. We do food security, housing prevention. We do any kind of application help. We do treatment and detox referrals. We give out emergency food hampers. And then one of the upcoming, on this page. So we do outreach transportation. We take people to doctors, hospital visits. We take people to airports in Fort St. John and Grand Prairie when they're heading down south for treatment. We have an elder and cultural advisor who works on site for anybody who wants to learn about the, sorry, I was like looking at the time.
Don't look at the time, they'll tell you.
I know, okay.
Yeah, no, the time is more of a polite suggestion.
Okay. So our elder and cultural advisor, he goes around to schools and teaches them about the traditional teepee raising and what it means. And he's the one that takes us on the medicine walks. We do a soup kitchen there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we serve anywhere from 50 to 80 people, free lunches Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do lunch deliveries for elders and people with disabilities. So we'll take their lunches to their homes for people that can't get out of their houses. We cook all the meals at our soup kitchen for our shelter. We give them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We put on events Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving, and we have anywhere from 200 to 400 people that show up for dinner on those days. We do Christmas hampers and toy drives. Last year, we had over 200 people that got a Christmas hamper and some toys. Events that we host, we do bingo nights and game nights. Our bingo nights are a hit. They're always packed full. People rent our spaces, so we rent out our spaces for AA and NA at the Bergeron. And then people can also have birthday parties there and use our youth center and use the space. We rent it out for people for funeral services, and then we also do the funeral cards for them for free. And we have luncheons there for them. So and that funeral's going to be expensive. So then we have our Nawican emergency shelter on 102nd Ave. It has 17 beds. It holds beds for 10 men and 7 women. We do 4 recovery beds, so people who are transitioning into treatment, who are detoxing, we'll keep them at our shelter while they're waiting to go to detox and treatment. Or if they come out of detox and treatment, they can go into a referral bed while waiting to go to second stage housing. We do warming during the winter, so we open our doors at our shelter for anybody to come in and stay warm. We give them soup and sandwiches, and we serve coffee at the door. And upcoming, so we are getting a daycare. It's going to be built next to our Nawican Bergeron Youth and Cultural Center on 17th Street. It's going to hold 44 spaces. It's for 0 to 5 years old. And right now we're just in the rezoning and permit stages. We think we're going to go modular, so it'll be up and running by the end of October, or it'll be up by the end of October. Hopefully the doors will be open January 2026. And we just started building, almost finished, our cultural grounds. So our cultural grounds by the Nawican Bergeron in the fenced area there, if you guys drove by. There'll be sweats there, there'll be hide tanning, there'll be hopefully a greenhouse where we can grow foods and traditional medicines. And up and coming June 20th, we're going to do our Indigenous Days there. So from 1 to 6, we'll have Indigenous Days there. We wanted to invite all of you to come. There'll be lots of just traditional teachings. We'll try to do some beading, just learning about the medicines, healing fire, bannock making. There'll be bannock burgers and bannock hot dogs. We'll have some presenters there, dancers. We'll have the Métis dancers coming, jigging. We'll have some drummers,
Vendors will be there as well.
vendors. We invited all the vendors to come set up, and just lots of games. I think that's it. Did I miss anything?
No, you did well, as always. You did really well. I think it's important to note too that it's not just, our services aren't just for Indigenous people, they're for everyone.
Yeah.
So when Sheena's going through this list, it's not just for Indigenous people, it's anybody that requires the services can reach out.
Yeah, we help everybody.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. I think it's fairly well understood among council and the people who work adjacent to you through other social services, but in the general community, it's still, getting the word out is always tough. So I will thank you first and foremost for coming and meet with us today and for the variety of services you offer the community. To listen to you list them all out is pretty astounding. But for now, I'll open the floor up to my colleagues on council for any questions or comments they might have. Thank you. You're good.
There we go. Wow, what a list. The services you're providing this community is amazing, and I commend you guys for it. And to be able to transition with losing a space like that and continue to provide is amazing. Thank you for all you do in the community.
Thank you.
One quick question, excuse me, about the shelter itself. Your 17 beds, how often are they full?
We're at max capacity every night.
Max capacity every night?
We've had to turn people away lately.
Okay. That's what I assumed, but there's always confusion in the community if they're actually being utilized or not. And then your daycare, you did say all your services provided are for everyone. Will that include your 44 daycare spaces? Will they be open to everybody in the community, or are they just going to be for Indigenous children?
Right now, we haven't got that far, so right now, as it sits, it's gonna be the $10 a day open.
Okay.
But we've had asked about it being an Aboriginal Head Start, and if it does become an Aboriginal Head Start, it'll be 44 space, free daycare for 44 children. Then they have to be Indigenous or Métis.
Of Indigenous heritage. Okay.
So we're unsure of that yet.
And when would that choice be made?
I think closer to the end of October, once the daycare's up and it's licensed, and then we go from there.
Okay.
And who makes that delegation? Like, who will make that choice?
I think it'll be us.
Okay.
It'll be the chair?
Yeah.
Or the board?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, wonderful.
You good?
Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for all you do in the community.
Thank you.
Councillor Parslow.
Yes, first of all, I want to say I appreciate your work, Sheena, and working with you on a number of projects. I liked your approach very much. The shelter, my colleague asked the question about the shelter, and so do you have any recent picture on how many people are in need of that shelter? I mean, it's running at full capacity. How many people, if you like, are left out who need it?
Well, we try not to leave anybody out. I feel like majority of the time, we don't have to turn anybody away. Other people that might need a shelter that they can't access are people under 19. A youth shelter, you have to be 19 and older to stay there, so we've had to turn away children that come there with no homes. We do call like MCFD, and they help assist to find a place for them. Other people that we've had to turn away are fathers with children who can't stay there, families, because we don't have a shelter for them.
Right, yeah. The childcare program, You'll be looking for some qualified staff, won't you?
Yeah.
Do you have you ever thought about engaging another organization that specializes in that to run it on your behalf, or are you guys going to actually be burdened with the management of that?
No, I never thought about another organization, but we'll definitely be hiring someone to run it. I haven't, again, have got that far. We're just in the beginning stages of building it, but I do sit on a child care task force, and we do discuss the different possibilities out there.
Yeah.
How it could be run.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Apollonio.
Sorry. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. Personally, of course, especially Tara. I normally saw Tara on social media, so thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, thank you first of all, for embracing us, especially our communities. For example, we came from other backgrounds, and then, of course, you're open up to community as well, because I know you're the you really traditionally here ahead of us. So thank you very much for embracing our community, like the Filipino community and other communities. And of course, I saw really leaps and bounds on the big things happen in Nawican, because every time that I drive by at 102nd, I saw the Verge run. It's amazing, especially when they get inside the specialty stores inside, and of course the stops are amazing. Thank you very much. And of course, Nawican, normally I encounter with Nawican, because sometimes if we have foods to give, we will give it to the Nawican shelter, because before normally we have gatherings and we don't want to waste food. So, and thank you very much for putting up that shelter, and of course at least we're able to help in a way in a small capacity. And my question is, do you have tie up with the other First Nation like the Treaty 8, like in your projects or something like that?
Do we work with other?
Yeah.
Yeah, we work with Soto, West Moberly. We help the Kelly Lake. They come and use our services. We have people from Horse Lake come and use our services.
Then we work with all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And about the vendor, for example, if you're interested, for example, a community, for example, like to share our background or our communities, are we just going to go to the Berger and Nawican Center just to ask for inquiry?
Yeah. You just come down to the now.
So it's open to anybody, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and anybody can come.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Apollonio. So, yeah, I think that's great. We appreciate the presentation. And just to reiterate, you said June 20th, 1 to 6th is Indigenous Days.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll try and ensure we have some representation from council there.
Thank you.
Depending on, who's working what that day, but we usually try and make that happen. Is there any, while you're here, I mean, it's always great to get a chance to do this and just have a general touch base, because, programming changes, staff changes, budget cycles change, the economy changes, and you can never assume where people are at. So it's good to have you come in and us have some face-to-face. And I guess sometimes these delegations have an ask. Is there anything you require of us at the moment, or anything you'd like to see from us? Or is it just a chance to touch base?
I think it's just a chance
Okay.
to touch base.
Yeah.
Well, if there is something you need, please don't be a stranger, and we'll try and make sure we're equally as engaged. So thank you both for coming today.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, that brings us to Delegation 2.2. Alex Reschny, President, and Joe Hauber, Vice President, South Peace Malzero Park Society, in attendance regarding an update on the pump track and finances. Welcome, gentlemen. You know the routine. Okay, you're preemptively greenlit, so
Okay.
good to see you.
Thank you, councillors and city staff, for having us. My original letter that went in has been changed quite drastically, so The first one was thrown together in rapid fire because I was busy at the pump track, and so. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to present today and update where we are, the Rotary Recreation Parks, in regards to the bike skills and pump tracks. We started this project on from a presentation December 19th, 2022 from Tyler and Earlene Jones, which created a lot of excitement on the board to have something to fill in some of the former lake area. We are very close to being ready to open the tracks, hopefully by the end of this week or early next week, and I can tell you the hydro seeding was happening Wednesday of the final part of the tracks area, so we will be able to open that half. So the disappointment at the same time is we can't open the full park due to the lack of water at the park and the need to fence off the old playground to prevent the pea gravel carrying over into the matting of the new playground and destroying the rubber matting. I'm hoping the city or the contractor are going to put up security fencing when the water line installation and capping off of 2 lines in the playground area happen to allow the remaining of the park to remain open. Is there any questions at this time?
Yeah, no. I guess really quickly, just through you to staff with respect to the fencing off the playground, if you could provide some context as to why we are where. Sorry, I don't know if I'm stepping out of line there, Tab, but going rogue. Go ahead.
Worship. In terms of the fencing off of the playground, at this time, we don't have any plans to fence off the playground as part of our playground program for this coming season. Our contractor who is installing a new playground on 16th is also, and at the Harry Morrow ball fields, will also be looking to remove all the gravel and replace the gravel with engineered wood fiber chips. And so that is the process at this time, but we don't have any plans at this immediate moment to put any fencing to separate the 2 playgrounds at this time.
Okay, thank you. So does anybody else have any questions at this time before we let Alex continue? Councillor Parslow?
So why is it you require, or you're suggesting that fencing is needed?
Because if anybody's walked that matting, they know how nice and soft it is. It's very coarse, and that pea gravel from Deborah School in 3 years totally wrecked their matting, so now you can spend another $100,000 fixing matting. So it's not cheap to repair it, and we fenced it off last year by having 6 panels put across, so they had to walk through a bunch of grass, and the rocks came off their shoes before they hit that other playground. And we will do that again, and we'll find the paneling to do it. I just can't see us wrecking a playground in a matter of even half destroying it, because all them pores will fill up with pea gravel. So.
If you want to continue, go right ahead.
Yeah, okay. I got to put my glasses back on. Some of the Mile Zero board have put in endless time and effort and able to see this come to fruition. I know we didn't have all the finances in place when the decision was made to go ahead, but with hopes and promises, we had 2 oil companies say they would put in between $400,000 to $700,000, and other local businesses had promised to come through to help out, but this didn't happen, which is why we didn't think we would need the city in the beginning. When we did the presentation to the regional district asking for $250,000, they told us if the city didn't put any funds in, they wouldn't either, and that's the other reason we came to the city for help. We've received funding from the County of Saddle Hills that was $100,000, Peace Regional District for $151,000, City of Dawson Creek for $150,000, plus the loan from the city for a total of $751,000. We also have an approved grant from NDIT for $300,000, which would bring our total to $1,051,000. And again, I've got a pause for questions about that, if there is any. If not, we can continue.
Sorry, Alex. Just some clarification for anybody who might be watching. So the city's contribution, as you noted, initially, I think it was we were just requested to endorse some letters for grants, but then subsequent to your conversation with the RD,
Yep.
council voted to provide $150,000 in essentially grant funding, and then another. I was under the, was it not 300 or 350? Okay, because you said a total of 750. I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure it wasn't.
350,000 is what the city gave us a loan for.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted that clarification. Thank you. Anybody else need to? Councillor Parslow, sorry, Councillor MacDonald, I think you were first.
Yeah, going back to before you'd mentioned the water line, you were asking about fencing for the water line, when the water line comes
When
in?
the water line gets put in, I want to make sure that, because we have to also come halfway across the playground to dig out a couple of other pipes that are sticking out of the ground, and that all has to be capped off at the pool house to prevent water going underneath the pump track and destroying it.
Right.
Because that's where the water line broke last year on August the 12th, so.
So you were looking for clarification that,
To make sure that it is going to be fenced off, to allow us to keep the rest of the area open.
okay. So, do we have intents on that? Through your worship, city staff, sorry.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Devon will work with the contractor. The contract's been awarded for the new water line. We'll ensure everything is, the site is secure, everything is safe, and they're able to do it. We're working with the contractor to get in and out of there as quickly as we can, and as little disruption as possible, but there will be some disruption. There's no way around that.
No way around it, yeah, okay. That was my question, sorry, thank you.
No, that's great. Thank you, Councillor MacDonald and Councillor Parslow. You.
Yeah, just referring to the financing. So you shared that there were promises made but not delivered as it relates to supporting this project.
Yep. Yes.
So talk more about the loan from the city then. What is your capacity to repay that loan?
For the short term, it's going to be impossible till we get the whole thing complete. NDIT, see exactly what they are going to do, and we are going to go back to a couple of the oil companies and see if they will come through now that it's complete and they know the full scope of it.
So going to the NDIT,
Yes.
has the scope of this project changed so that you might not get all of the 300,000? You might only get a portion of it? What is your sense about that?
Probably, I'm hoping to get at least 95%, but I'm hoping for 100%. But because in my report later on, they figure unskilled labor at $15 an hour for any of the volunteer labor, and skilled labor at $30 an hour. And yet Velo Solutions would have charged $40.25 an hour, which NDIT would have happily paid. But they don't do that the same when they figure out volunteer time or materials or equipment. They seem to set their own rates at a different rate than what Velo would have charged us. So unless I get invoices saying that I donated X dollars worth, like my own time, being in charge of the whole operation was figured at $30 an hour.
So concerning the loan then, for the short term, you're not able to, but you're still working at
We will
trying to
continue.
get, just as a general comment, this, as with everything, we learn, right, from experience.
Yep.
But it makes it difficult, right? I mean, so much happens in the community through goodwill. And I guess sometimes some circumstances change for some businesses that they don't have their cash flow, but it certainly makes it difficult to move forward, I think, to me, I'm thinking with verbal promises. I think in the future we'd need
Won't do that
something in
one.
writing.
Won't do that again.
No, thank you.
So, and just to follow up on a point Councillor Parslow made, so basically with respect to your NDIT grant, you're potentially, I guess if you want to use the word penalized, I don't know, I'm sure they don't intend it that way.
No.
But because you're able to secure a portion of the labor as an in-kind donation versus paying outright for it, it's being valued at a lower rate, which is then reducing the amount they're willing to pay back?
It's based on a percentage of what they're, the 300,000, I forget exactly if it's 30%. Charlie or Councillor Parslow can probably help me out with what NDIT will pay on a project of that size.
Okay. But
Its maximum is 300,000.
Yeah.
So, but it is the fact that a portion of the labor was donated in kind versus
Yes.
secured through a contractor is messing with that calculation, and as a result, you may get less.
We may.
Okay.
I'm thinking we're still gonna fall into the category under the percentage wise of what the whole project costs, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I hope, obviously, there's a number of nonprofits in town who rely on volunteerism and in-kind donations of labor and from businesses in order to run their programs. I don't know that any grant program that's going to penalize them for that is ultimately fulfilling, in the big picture, what we want to be able to cultivate in a community around volunteerism and whatnot. But, okay, sorry, moving on. Thank you.
Okay. We are waiting for NDIT's interim payment, which was promised actually to us last week, and I've emailed them yesterday, and I'll be getting in touch with them today to see what the delay is, as we will be receiving the invoice for the paving of the trails this week from Parallel Projects. We're not sure at this time we will get the full amount from NDIT and the amount of, because of the amount of in-kind donations, which I already talked about, their method of calculating and ours. The in-kind donations and volunteer time will still help cut down the overall costs, as we did not build in a contingency or overrun on the quotes we received. We did need double the 3-inch minus gravel from the original quote because they had to dig deeper than we thought. This will affect the final number from Velo Solutions. The complete project was going to be $1,377,317, leaving a shortfall without any overruns. MOPS has paid out over $140,000 in the last 2 years, $20,000 for the design drawings in 2023 and another $120,000 in 2024, and I have no idea what we've paid out here in the last 3 weeks as the building project went again. At this time, we owe Velo Solutions $102,000 and Parallel Projects $306,500 for a total of $408,000. If we get the full $300,000 grant from NDIT, we still will have a shortfall of $108,500. Putting MOPS in a very tight financial position. We're still working on the final calculations with Velo and Parallel due to the in-kind from Parallel Projects, Renco, Swamp Donkey, plus a few other community businesses for the pump tracks. The final numbers we know will change. The other option we had is to not open the track till 2026, and it was considered, and we had funding in place, for the paving for the outside trails. By next year, we could have just left the thing closed and fenced it off with a higher fence. Anyway, are there any questions on that part? And I will get to the.
No, I think you can
Okay.
keep going.
We know things will be tight due to the continued upkeep in the RV site and Pioneer Village. For example, in the past 2 years, we've had to replace 4 washing machines, 2 last year, 2 more this year, at a total cost of $30,000. This was due to no longer being able to get parts or vandalism on some of the machines that weren't repairable after that. At one time, the income from the RV site would cover the cost of the upkeep and maintenance of the 3 areas we were responsible for. For 5 of the 6 years that the splash park operated, approximately $60,000 over the $50,000 a year the city gives us, which is inadequate. The $60,000 was taken from the profit of the RV site, was going into the splash park operation preventing any upgrading of the RV site, which is desperately needed, or preventing the building up of any reserve funds for future needs. We could possibly dissolve MOPS and have the city take over all operations and assets, but that isn't what we want, and we do want to continue to operate and know we will get through all this. The MOPS staff, Joe and myself, have spent endless hours bringing this through to completion, with more than a few sleepless nights for me worrying about the financial side. The staff has been busy watering the hydro-seeded areas 4 to 6 hours daily since the water was turned on this spring, plus helping clean up any of the work areas. We know this was a very major project led by MOPS for the city of Dawson Creek and the Rotary Recreation Park. I want to thank Dawson Creek, City of Dawson Creek for all its help, continued support and encouragement of this project. Hopefully, it'll be of value for the community many years to come, like the lake was. Thank you. And is there any questions?
I'll turn it over to my colleagues in a sec and say thank you for coming here today. Yeah, I'll let council speak and then I'll chime in at the end. Councillor Parslow.
Just for clarification, what I heard is that the revenue from the RV park, which is intended to cover the costs of the Pioneer Village maintenance and some other aspects, might be is not maybe adequate. The amount of money you receive from the city, the cost of the splash part exceeded that. Did you say that, was it a total of 60,000?
No.
Or was it 60,000 a year?
Between 110 and 130,000 annually is what it was costing us to operate.
So where did the 60,000 fit into that?
50 and 60, I was being generous. It's 110,000 over the 5 years, including our first year. It was, with all the labor that you have to sit there, we were spending 13, 14 hours a day paying manpower to sit there, and along with all the chemicals and electronic failures. It was just
So the city was putting in the $50,000 towards looking after the splash park, and we had to put in another 60,000 on top of that to make it work.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
That's where the that's where the $110,000 comes from.
I gotcha. So that's pretty astounding.
It is.
Yeah, thank you.
We did have 1 year that we did shut down because of water, and they ran the fire truck for 1 day using water at City Hall, and then I got a phone call from Blair saying, whatever you need to open it, I'll help pay for it.
And then Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Chair. You gave us a pile of numbers there. What was the, can you tell us what the total investment was to build a pump track and the skills and the pathway out there? What's the total number of investment out there?
The total was going to be basically $1.4 million.
1.4.
1,377 is what it was going to be without in-kind donations, and I was sitting at my table working on that yesterday to see what we are actually going to owe. It's not as bad as that, but.
So that 1.4, does that include the in-kind donations then?
That did not. That was what we were going to get billed from parallel projects. And
that's what you're going to be
Below.
billed, but with your in-kind donations and all the machine work, et cetera, what do you think the value of that property is now for the city?
Well, the final invoicing is going to get reduced by probably, I'm going to say $100,000, but I don't know that for sure yet. I got to see what they're going to bill us, and I was working with Velo for the last 2 weeks.
But I'm asking Alex, like, was it a $3 million project? Even though it only cost you 1.3, was it a $3 million project? Was
I'm
it
gonna
a
say it was probably a $2.5 million project.
$2.5 million project?
Yes. The one part I don't understand yet is our 3-meter wide track that we had to pave there, which was, cost us an extra $100,000 over the original. When we come through a 3-foot gate to go onto it, and we end up at the trail goes nowhere, and basically ends up at a bridge that is 40 inches wide. Like it comes from a 40-inch gate and goes to a 40-inch bridge. And yet inside we were told they had to have 3 meters. 2 meters would have worked.
Sorry, I think Kevin has something. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Through you or staff, if you want to.
So through you, Mr. Chair, regarding the width of the path inside the park, I mean, that's our spec for paths. A gate can be changed. A bridge might change in the future. We have to plan for the future. We could build a smaller path, I suppose, but it wouldn't meet our specs. So all we're doing is meeting the specs that are laid out, and that's why it is what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm good.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll, I guess just close to thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for your work on this. I'm sorry it's turning into such a source of stress for you. I don't think that's what anyone intended. I think we all get into these things with the best of intentions, and as Councillor Parslow said, we learn things as we go, and that's certainly been the case. I mean, on our end, how we would normally go about planning and approving a capital project, which we're ultimately going to inherit. This project definitely deviated from that. And as you kind of laid out, it started with a grant and then a contribution and a loan. And now I don't know if you've got an ask at the end of this, but, you know, obviously we appreciate the work you do and we want to see you succeed. But for future initiatives, I do believe we need to have a process that's a little more robust in place so we don't end up coming to the end of it with a surprise. And, you know, there's a place for us to communicate and find a way to do that. But that's, you know, as it's always difficult for us because obviously you want to reward people that are doing good work. And like I said, you want to see nonprofits succeed, especially things that are contributing to the quality of life. But we are ultimately responsible for public resources, and we need to make sure that the process we go through to allocate those resources has, you know, some substance and vetting behind them to ensure that we're not having to come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars at a late hour that isn't budgeted for. So if I had, I guess, one critique of this process from our end, that would be it. Having said that, doesn't in any way diminish our appreciation for the work you've done and what we, you know, our regard for your organization. But yeah, we will, I think for future initiatives, make sure they are tied into our annual capital plan so we can make sure that if there is a budget element or if there is a cost element, we are budgeting for it and nobody's surprised. With respect to the RV site, when was the last time the rates went up there?
Just this past year. We are probably just a little bit higher than Northern Lights and Tubby's right now.
So it's,
And the only thing that happened last year because of we haven't upgraded the sites probably since the 70s or 80s when campers were more popular than motorhomes. And so we lost at least 3 or 4 caravans coming out of Texas to Northern Lights, or some went over to Tubby's, but most went up to Northern Lights. They still rented Sedaton Hall, but we don't have the 50 amp sites, sewer sites that are needed, and I will be submitting that to city before the end of June of what it's going to cost to upgrade it, or at least some of it.
cool. Thank you. Councillor MacDonald, you've got something you'd like to add again?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. I just want to reiterate, great job. Honestly, through all the hardships and everything else, the city is gaining a truly wonderful recreational space that will be enjoyed by our families and youth and visitors for many years to come. Even through all the hardships and everything else, your hard work is truly appreciated by myself, and you've created a great space out of what was a horrific loss to the community. You've taken, cliche, you've taken lemons and made lemonade out of it in the end. So thank you very much for everything out there.
Personally, I don't think a lot of the people realized that it was Smile Zero doing it, because anything you saw on Facebook was always the city, the city, the city. And so I think we've bent over backwards, and I don't even want to know exactly the dollars worth Joe has donated, because it's probably in the $50,000 worth of time and equipment. There was a crawler running around out there last week knocking that big dirt pile down. Nobody saw that. And so I do know that we've both averaged probably 100 hours a month for the last 14 months, 15 months making it happen. So,
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Apollonio.
Thank you, your chair, Mr. Alex, of course, Mr. Joe. Of course, I just want to echo the sentiment of my co-councillors. Thank you very much for all the hard work. I hope and pray that you will triumphantly go over these challenges, and we've been there for a long time, and I know that you've been doing a great job. May I ask, what is the membership of the Mile Zero? Like any?
I'm going to say, I think we're at about 50 members.
Around the 50, yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry to ask again, like the age thing, like, you know.
Aging out.
Yeah, because I said, I know you're always here presenting to us, like you, Mr. Alex, I know you for a long time, and of course, Mr. Joe. So that's why I'm saying, I hope somebody will really look after, you know, your society. You're working hard, and it's really appreciated. And yeah, I can only say thank you. And of course, I hope somebody will really take on the responsibility that you are doing, because you're really doing a great job in the community. And normally, as I said, every time we use your hall, your RB Park, for example, for special events, and of course, the Pioneer Village. Yeah, thank you. Just thank you.
We do have our grand opening on this coming Saturday, the 7th, and we'll start with a parade. Hopefully the water line construction isn't going to get it in the way of our route and whatever, but anyway, it starts at 12 o'clock, and there'll be free hamburgers, hot dogs, whatever provided by Rotary, and it'll be a great day out there. Lots of things happening, so
Great. Thank
come
you.
out and have a look at the pump track, because we hope we'll have people riding it by then.
Wonderful. Well, let us know when it is officially open, and we'll do our best to help push that message out there.
Don't know when the grand opening will be, but the opening will be,
The soft opening.
soft
Yeah.
opening will probably be Friday.
Okay, well, that's
The
wonderful.
gate will be unlocked. They won't have to throw their bicycles over the fence anymore.
Thank you guys both.
And thank you. We aren't as in bad a shape as we thought, but we'll get through it.
Wonderful. Thanks. All right. Next up, we have item 3, strategic priorities chart, 3.1, 3.2. Anything to add?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Item 4, late items. Anything? Councillor Parslow has a late item. I was advised you might be doing that, and I think it's going to be enclosed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Tab, for those of us who are a little fuzzy on this, do we need to vote? Okay, we're doing this now? And are we going into close now, or are we going to at the end of it?
Through your worship, no. Councillor Parslow would like to speak to the item, and then council can make a vote to authorize the item in a closed meeting under the following.
Okay, but
Sections.
his comments with respect to the item itself right now don't have to be enclosed.
That is correct. There will be
Okay.
generalized comments.
Then please proceed.
Yes, so this past week I've been receiving some information that I consider about a matter with some of our property and its management. that we need to talk about. I consider it that my colleagues need to understand what I have been informed of. But it's not a matter I can discuss any further in open.
Okay. Well, thank you for communicating the gravity of the situation. Do we need to motion to accept as a light item? Councillor MacDonald, seconded by Councillor Apollonio. And I will start the vote. We'll see how this goes. Has everyone voted? Oh, what did I do? Okay, so all in favor. Whew. Okay. That went okay, everyone. How do I get back to my thing now? Okay, so we will include that in closed when we get around to it after our open agenda. Item 5, new councillor business. 5.1, Councillor MacDonald is going to give us a report on the NCLGA Association AGM.
So I recently attended the North Central Local Government Association's annual general meeting in Prince Rupert and wanted to share some highlights and key takeaways from the event. I'm honored to share that I was able to secure the second vice president position of the NCLGA, which also gives me a seat on the executive board. This new role gives our community a stronger voice at the table and allows us to help shape the direction of advocacy work across northern and central British Columbia. We also brought forward 2 resolutions at this year's AGM. I'm very pleased to report that both were passed unanimously with no negative debate or concerns raised. It was reassuring to see such broad support from our peers, which speaks to the relevance and urgency of the issues we're addressing. Throughout the event, I had the chance to speak with representatives from BCLC, ICBC, and BC Transit. These were meaningful and productive conversations that opened the door to future collaboration and gave us useful insight into how we might strengthen services in our community. We as a city had a scheduled meeting with Northern Health that was both informative and encouraging. They shared some positive updates on recent progress and success stories from our region. Also had a candid conversation about the ongoing challenges of recruiting and retaining specialist positions. Northern Health has committed to helping us access meaningful data that we can use in our advocacy with some of our different regional air carriers for scheduled flight services and improvement to our airport. And this will be an important piece in supporting better healthcare access for our residents and the prosperity of the regional airport. One of the standout moments of the AGM was a tour of the Prince Rupert Port. Heading to Rupert, I knew very well of the container ship port, but didn't understand the size and scope of the port itself, with its grain loading, coal loading, pellet, liquid propane, and plus the container ship itself. The size and scale of it is absolutely massive, but my one true takeaway from it was that's Northeast grain, that's Northeast BC coal, that's Northeast BC petroleum, and even Northeast wood fiber that's providing for the pellets. That is all our resources being shipped out of Prince Rupert, and I believe we, as the Northeast, need to do a better job of reminding the province of that. They've got a massive $3 billion investment going on in the port right now to secure shipping of our natural resources, and it needs to be highlighted a little bit more by the province for sure. One of the key takeaways from this year's AGM is we were not giving proper time to resolution debates. When it comes down to it, that is the true work we are there to do, is our resolutions. And I'm proud to say moving forward that it is going to be a priority of time at our next AGM to ensure that everybody's resolution has the time it deserves. Yeah, that is my report of NCLGA. It was a great conference. There was some great discussions, some great networking, and truly a pleasure to go and represent the city there. Any questions?
Councillor Parslow. Oh, sorry, I think Councillor Apollonio got, you have an update. Okay, Councillor Parslow, pardon me.
What's the location of next NCLG?
Next year's NCLGA will be in Prince George.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for attending. On behalf of the city, congratulations on your advancement to the
Thank you.
executive. And I'm glad to hear that the plenary session will have priority.
It's due
That's
time.
always frustrating at a conference when you go there, and the goal is ultimately to find common ground with other organizations and set policies and priorities, and then to have that cut short and have only a small handful be given time. So
Truly, it's unfair to those communities that work very hard to bring their resolutions forward, and then to see them not hit the floor for proper debate. It's unfair to them, right? So we need to do a better job.
That's great to hear. Councillor Parslow, do you have a new Councillor Business? Do you have another question?
No, new council.
Okay, so
I have more new councillors as well.
Go for it.
I was able to attend the Doig River World Cafe this week. Great information session. Wonderful to see Doig come out in such an open and transparent way for sharing their plans for urban reserve, plans for I won't even attempt to name the tribal park, the tribal park they've been working on for over 20 years, and just again to have open and transparent conversation. But my one takeaway from there, and I did bring this up with staff, is our stage for Mercer Hall has an issue with accessibility. It was disheartening to see Chief Mackay not be able to take the stage to do the welcome and the prayer and everything else at their event. And I just want to make council aware that we need to do a better job with accessibility there, and that I brought it up with city staff.
Thank you, and thank you for attending. Councillor Apollonio.
Thank you, Chair, Mr. Chair. Just updating. I attended the South Peace Historical Society last Monday, May 26th. And of course, I will directed Miss Margaret Kitt to Ryan McIver because for some questions. So I think they will get back. They want some update about any after your presentation last time, and of course they want some knowledge or information from you. So I told them to reach for you. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Parslow.
Last Monday, I was invited to attend a meeting with professors from University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, University of Victoria, Simon Fraser University, and University of Northern BC. I was one of two outside guests invited to the review of all the research being done and all the findings of that research as it relates to the health hazards of unconventional, in other words, fracking, flaring, and seismic issues. I took photographs of all the slides, and the findings are, I can only use one word, are scary. And I think we need to pay attention to it. It has real implications for health, for our citizens and our region, and the workers as well. In fact, there were representatives on Zoom who were formerly working within that industry who've who've left and are now doing work on advocacy for things. The meeting was also had good representation from Soto and from West Moberly, and they had staff who were, this was their portfolio, and they shared also some of the, let's call it, eco-justice issues that are associated with this project. So I have, all I would like to say is we need to pay attention to this. It also affects our recruitment of professionals into this area. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Parslow. As always, if you do have information, do you want to share with council? I'd encourage you to do that. And if somebody wants to put forward a delegation request, I mean, and you know, we are a resource region, but we also endeavor to be informed about the decisions we make and what potential costs are associated with that. So it's always good to have more information at our disposal and have the conversation. So thank you. Councillor MacDonald. Sure, go for it.
Thank you, Chair. Also last week, I had the pleasure of representing council in welcoming the Healthcare Traveling Roadshow here in Dawson Creek. The Healthcare Traveling Roadshow is put on by UNBC staff, and it welcomes medical students from all over the province, not just doctors and nurses, but all streams of allied healthcare, including respiratory therapy, dental hygiene, nursing, psychiatric nursing, kinesiology, biomedical engineering, midwife, and lab technician. I just wanted to say thank you to them for coming into our community, going and talking to our grade 10 students about possible pathways into medical professions, and just showing our local youth that it isn't just nursing and doctors. There are many pathways into medical professions of different levels of schooling and responsibility, and it was a pleasure to meet with those students, and it was just a pleasure to show them our wonderful community. So thank you to UNBC and the Healthcare Roadshow for coming into the community again.
Wonderful. Thank you once again for being able to attend on behalf of the city. That's a great initiative. Okay, wonderful. So moving on to the adoption of minutes 6.1. A motion to accept. Councillor MacDonald, Councillor Sudnick. Okay, I will call the vote. Everybody vote, please. John, good. Okay, I'm going to stop moving. Okay, all in favor. 2 for 2. Right on, everyone. Okay, so we'll, no business arising, presumably? No? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and head into correspondence. Thank you. We are heading into item 8, correspondence 8.1. We have a letter from Christine Harris, Facility Manager, Dawson Creek and District Stable and Arena Association, from May 13th, requesting approval to permit camping east of Lakota Agriplex from September 4th to 7th. So, Councillor MacDonald. You are good to go.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Chair. The classic question through yourself to staff, where are we in our grant fund?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I don't know that they're asking for the fees to be waived, because in the letter they state, please let us know if there are any fees or regulations. They're asking for permission to use the site.
Okay.
So unclear if that is an ask for funding. So if they were asking for grant funding, we have $4,478 remaining.
How much? I'm so sorry.
$4,478.
Okay. So we're about halfway through. 2/3, sorry.
A little more than halfway through.
Right. Okay, so, but for us to allow them to use it, either they have to pay the fees or we have to grant it?
That's correct. So our assumption with the letter is that they're asking for the use of the site. Council can grant that. And then they're just asking if there's any fees to go along with it. So I'm assuming, and maybe wrongfully, that if there are fees, they're willing to pay them.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to have staff engage with the Ag Society or this wonderful group to discuss further their desire for camping and to allow them to use it if they pay the fees.
Cool. Seconded by Councillor Sudnick. Any discussion? Okay, then we will call the vote. Everybody vote, because I can't see when you've all voted, so.
I voted.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, all in favor. Thank you, everyone. And then 8.2, we have a letter from Robin Holstein, Vice Chair, Northern Trails Historical Society, dated May 26th, and a request for support for the Doors Open July 2025 program. We have a motion, or do we want to maybe ask staff? I mean, I think the letter is pretty self-explanatory, but if there's anything staff wants to add?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I guess there is an ask of donation of either $250 or $350. And this is something that we would coordinate, I think, Ryan, with tourism.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion. It's either a yay, nay, or receive for information.
Thank you, Chair.
Councillor MacDonald.
I'd like to move that we support the regional initiative for this tourism effort at the $500 contribution mark.
And just for clarification, that will come out of the grant budget, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't think I'm allowed to, even though I'm the chair, I can't start making decisions with respect to the economic development funding, so. Unless Tab says I can. No? Okay. Looking for a seconder? Councillor Sudnick. Any discussion? No? All right, we'll call the vote. Everyone vote? Okay. All in favor. Thank you, everybody. And that brings us to item 9.1, report number 25-097 from the General Manager of Operations regarding RFQ 2025 to 2027, or 2025-27, washed rock supply and delivery. Pardon me. Councillor Parslow.
Report number 25-097 from the General Manager of Operations re RFQ 2025-27, washed rock supply and delivery be received. Further, the Council award RFQ 2025-27, washed rock supply and delivery to Brokaw Construction Limited for a total bid price of $468,900.75 plus GST.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Apollonio. Any discussion? Councillor Parslow?
I don't think there's any need for discussion, given there's only one supplier, and we can decide maybe to seek other bids if you like for future
No, I
meetings,
just,
or-
I mean, the only note of comment I'd have is obviously, we've been subject to some wild variances in pricing in recent years, due to a lot of factors that have resulted in inflation, and, it's never pleasant to see a figure like that compared to what it was, but it is something we need in order to operate the city. So we are kind of at the mercy of inflation. But thank you, staff, for the report.
Well, it's nice to read, you know, that it's a 42% increase. I mean, keep adding it to the list of increases. Yeah. People wonder why taxes go up, right?
Yeah, we are, in the context of our little pond, we're a big fish as far as purchasing power goes. In the context of a global economy, we are subject to similar pressures as any other organization. So, and like I said, this isn't a nice to have. It's something we do need to function as a city. So, if there's nothing else, I will call the vote. All votes are in. Thank you. All opposed, or all in favor, pardon me. And then we are on to 9.2, report number 25-091 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding BC Transit Annual Operating Agreement 2025/2026. Would someone like to make a motion? Councillor Sudnick?
Thank you. I'll move the recommendation, report number 25-091 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding BC Transit Annual Operating Agreement 2025-2026 be received. Further, the Council approve the BC Transit Annual Operating Agreement effective from April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026 at the proposed cost of $402,068.
Thank you, Councillor Sudnick, seconded by Councillor MacDonald. Any discussion? Councillor Parslow.
What would be the options if we deferred making this decision for until early July? What would be the implications, given upcoming dialogue?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I think if we delayed for a period of time, and when I say that July, I don't know if that might be it. At some point, the ministry is going to ask BC Transit if everything, all their contracts and agreements are in order, and if, let's just say, Dawson Creek's hasn't been signed and nothing's in place, they could terminate service. But I don't know exactly, the risk of what that timeline is, but that's what I'm told is would be the outcome if we did not sign.
Well, yes. But the question is, what would be the implications for deferring making this decision until July? You don't really...
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, is if we don't make it by July prior to that, they may terminate the service if we haven't signed it by then.
Oh,
I would
they are being heavy-handed with us and saying, you've got to sign this by a certain date?
Well, at some point, yes, they'll want us to sign it.
Oh, I understand that, yeah.
I don't know if July's it, but we would have to double-check and see when the drop-dead date is. But it could be.
Because if we agree to this, we are stuck for another year when we haven't completely explored all the options. So I will have to vote against it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, you could defer it for a meeting and we could,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
suggesting a July meeting.
yeah.
Any other discussion? I mean, my sense is that we're 2 months into this agreement, potentially if it's ratified, which gives us 10 months on the back end to figure out whatever we need to figure out. There's been a lot of discussion around transit in recent months, and as Councillor Parslow noted, we've got a bit more to come in the next month or two. In the meantime, we need to have some continuity of service, and no matter what we land on with respect to a way forward with transit, it's not going to be something that we roll out in the next 3 months. Or, in all likelihood, it has to do with the school transport piece. I doubt very much it's going to be ready to go by September. That's we've got one meeting in July, one meeting in August, and then I don't know that, whatever we decide to do is going to be likely impacting the next transit agreement we have. I don't think it's going to be at this over the next 10 months, but anybody who's got a differing opinion, I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I would concur that if it's transformable change, then it's going to take some time. I think the things that we took away from the last meetings was we were to reach out and explore some other options that may augment or supplement. And so we will do that. I think what we also learned through the process is that what we're funding for the transit system is really we can't go any less than what we are without really the system all but not functioning at all. Direction right now is to explore a few options to supplement that. And then I think, again, if we're going to make substantive change, it's going to take time. If the city was to initiate canceling the agreement, it's 6 months notice. And that's stated in the report, I believe. But, yeah.
Okay. Councillor Sadek.
Well, thank you. I don't have any differing opinions. I agree with you guys. And on what's been said, we don't have enough time to make any substantive changes without not having some sort of transit in our community. So I'm in favor of just voting on this and giving us till next March 31st to, look at the information we have. And if we want to make changes, we've got a year to do it. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for the discussion. If there's nobody else, I'll call the vote. And this is just so everybody refers, this is to accept the agreement that presented. So everybody's voted. Thank you. Okay, 5 in favor, 1 opposed. Councillor Parslow is opposed. Thank you all. So 10 bylaws. We don't have anything. The mayor didn't trust me on my own, so he kept it light, I guess. 11 mayor's business. So I'll not necessarily mayor's business. 1 or 2 or 3 things. This last weekend we had the Pride Walk and the flag raising that Councillor MacDonald was able to attend in my stead. I had to go to town to Quesnel for a gymnastics meet for my daughter, so thank you to him for stepping in. Last week, I had the privilege to represent the city of Dawson Creek at the NLC commencement ceremony here in Dawson Creek. There were several hundred graduates from various programs, including healthcare, early childhood education, trades, business administration, university transfer for arts and science, aesthetics, a whole host of things. Just a great group of kids. Not necessarily all kids, some adult learners as well, but really, really fortunate to have Northern Lights College in our region working on our behalf, giving opportunities to our local people. So congratulations to all the graduates, and thank you to the staff and faculty and Board of Governors for their work in providing a strong institution. Last Wednesday, I was, through my other work at the credit union, but in conjunction with the Society for Community Living, we had the Accessibility Awareness Community Barbecue in the parking lot of the credit union, and that was well attended. I just note today at noon-ish, we're going to head out to the front lawn and raise the Filipino flag. So anybody who wants to join us, we encourage you to do that. But that's short and sweet. That's it for me. If anybody has any questions on those things, I'll do my best. Otherwise, we are on to the CAO operational update. How are we doing, Kevin?
Good.
Make
Thank
it rain
you, Mr.
yet?
Chair. What's that, sorry?
You make it rain yet?
Unfortunately, I can't. I wish I could. I'll start with, obviously, water update. I'd sent out to council last week just a quick update on the water levels at the Kiskadna intake weir. Unfortunately, slow retreat on those levels. They are below what they were at this time last year, and last year wasn't good. So we're in desperate need of some sustained rain. Unfortunately, these passing showers really don't do much for us. So good news is reservoirs are topped up and in a decent spot. So we'll keep an eye on that. And again, we've been in constant communication with the province throughout. They know our situation. They know the trout status in the northeast. And I found it interesting as I looked last night at all the fires that are actually across Western Canada. They're all in the north. Right from northern BC across Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. So everybody's suffering from this prolonged drought. ESS update. So we were activated last week due to the fire in the Kelly Lake area. Reception center stood up and received folks from that area. And my update as of yesterday is we had, there was a few adjustments and corrections, but I think we've registered 52 evacuees from the area. And last report I had was that the weather had cooperated for them over the weekend. So I think that's promising. They were able to get structure protection, I think, fully set up. Dawson Creek Fire had sent out a brush truck and 3 individuals to support that effort late last week, so that's good. So hoping that BC Wildfire and everybody's able to guard that community. Other quick update is some paving. So we've got 100B Avenue paved. That was done last week. Road's still closed as they finish off some other items, but getting closer. And then 95th Avenue project has started. And then I saw late last week that I believe the tender for 110th Avenue has gone out. So things are moving along.
Thank you, Kevin. Before I turn it over to Councillor Parslow, I just wanted to take the opportunity to commend our staff, both the ESS organizers and volunteers and our local fire detachment for supporting the efforts around Kelly Lake and the evacuees. Obviously, this is, once again, as people have noted, becoming an annual occurrence. And so while I'm deeply grateful that we've developed this capacity at the City of Dawson Creek to offer this kind of support, it's also unfortunate that we've had to develop this kind of capacity, and hopefully we get the weather continues to cooperate throughout the remainder of the summer so we can not have this looming over the community for the remaining few months. Councillor Parslow, you've got some questions for our CAO.
I noticed that the community of Kelly Lake was there's a high degree of confidence that they will be able to protect that infrastructure because of the establishment of a sprinkler system along a seismic line. I know that Tumbler Ridge was protected also by a swath of tree felling and a sprinkler system. What is the city's resources from the point of view of accessing sprinkler systems if something was to sweep in from Bear Mountain, let's say? Are we just relying on BC Forest Service, or do we have access to any regional district sprinkler systems?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, I believe the regional district does have a structural protection unit. And then BC Wildfire have those units that they deploy. So primarily, you're relying on, in most cases, BC Wildfire. And the hope is that those units aren't all used up somewhere else. But they are, everything that I've heard about them is that they are certainly effective in providing that protection and that really suppressing and providing that increased humidity and water around those areas that protects them.
Yes, as you know, I've raised this before. I do think I'd have more confidence if we actually had some local. We're not reliant on the availability from some other area. This was fresh on my mind because I had a long talk with a professor from the Simon Fraser University on fire suppression at this gathering last Monday. And as you know, a book called Fire Weather, written by John Valiant, about the Fort McMurray fire, it seems that that book is being well received in Alberta, and in fact, I'm addressing this to my colleague, Councillor MacDonald here. I understand that all our northern communities are perturbed about the fire in this boreal forest, the fire capacity and drought. John Valiant gives an excellent 45-minute presentation at different conferences and with question and answers, for about an hour and a half. That maybe that should be considered for a future NCLGA because all our communities are affected by the threat of fire. And he says, the professor said it's a very well received and pragmatic presentation. So I just wanted to pass that on to you, as well as just share, I think we need to be vigilant about how can we improve we'd be naive to think that with a strong westerly wind, we could really be quickly engulfed in a situation here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Chair. Couple questions. Building off of Councillor Parslow's point there, have we ever done an assessment on the community for our risk and best strategies for forest fire protection for the community?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not familiar with one, but that's not saying we haven't done it. BC Fire Smart has done some work, and I'd probably defer that. I'd have to talk to the fire chief, and see whether we've done it locally or not. I think we have a little bit better situation in Dawson Creek because we don't have that forest interface nearly as much as some of those
We have
communities
the
like
giant
Tumbler
fire
Ridge
break
and
in the
whatnot.
fields.
Like
Yeah.
we've got the agricultural around us for the most part. So really some of our biggest forest interfaces are within the community. So not to say that doesn't cause a problem, but something coming from the outside is we do have those agricultural barriers, I guess. So yeah, I can certainly follow up with the chief and see if there's been any assessment.
Just, the thoughts of go buy sprinklers is great, but I just wonder if that is the best option for our community because we do have such a large fire break of agricultural fields around us, if there might be a better investment for the money. Question on the water scarcity. I believe we're at our first level of water restrictions. Do we have an anticipated time period for moving those forward?
So through you, Mr. Chair, yes. So automatically conservation measures come in 1st of May. So that's level 1. So right now we are able to continue to match our pumping with our demand.
Okay.
So we're able to meet what we will keep an eye on that. And if we start to see a trend where we are unable to do that, then obviously that's when we need to enact that. We need to ensure that whatever is going out of the plant, we need to be sure that we can replenish. We do not want to get in a situation where we're losing ground in our stored water. So that's when we.
And do we normally have an attempt at advance notice for our commercial users?
Yeah, typically we would give, 10 days, 2 weeks kind of notice on that.
Okay.
And that's what we did in the past. So it doesn't come as a complete, shock and surprise, so they can make arrangements.
Okay. And then just finally, sorry.
Go for it.
I wanted to share my thank you to the amazing staff here for the work at the ESS. And a huge thank you to our local firefighters for going out there and supporting our region. Do we know our firefighters home, or are they still out there working?
Through you, Mr. Chair, believe they're still there. The understanding when they left was that they were going for a 10 or a 14-day deployment.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I think that's worst case scenario, and just the uncertainty at that time. So, but my understanding is they're still out there.
Well, huge thanks to them and prayers for their safety.
Yeah, and I should note that the mayor did receive a call, I believe it was Friday, from the Minister of Forests, and just passing along their thanks to the community, obviously, for opening up to receive Kelly Lake residents, and really just passing along that they had heard a lot of positive feedback of just, community and staff and what they've done. So just a big kudos to everybody that's involved.
Huge. Have we seen increased traffic at the airport then, with any helicopters or anything?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, I certainly have flying over my house. Yeah, they're pretty steady. Last night, after supper, I think there was 3 or 4 that went over to the airport. So I think they're definitely stationed there.
And is our fuel caddy in yet to help support them?
It's there, yeah.
Wonderful. Excellent.
Yep.
Great job by staff. Thank you also very much.
Okay, and I just have 1 or 2 more quick things. Based on the discussion around the ESS and the folks with Kelly Lake, I know in previous years we had provided feedback to the ministry around, given our proximity to the Alberta border and how that would make getting some sort of interprovincial or interjurisdictional operating understanding so that people who did have the ability to go evacuate to Alberta were still eligible for some form of ESS. Presumably that's not anything in place.
No, Mr. Chair, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I think some from that area might have went the Alberta direction and then had to come back this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I understand jurisdiction's jurisdiction, but having said that, in an emergent situation, that's a silly reason for someone to not be able to get food or housing. And then secondly, just touching on, I think, something I mentioned at the last meeting around, and this was the presence of Nawican here today and talk about the capacity at the homeless shelter, jogged my memory. The homelessness survey or count or audit, I guess if you want to call it that happened earlier this spring. Have we gotten any word on when we expect those figures to be released?
Yes. So Devin reached out, I believe, to the folks, was it you or Bill, that had reached out on the homeless count, updated homeless count? Yeah, so we've reached out to see if there is an updated one. Haven't
Okay.
heard back as of yet, so.
All right, well, I'm obviously, and I say looking forward, but it's
Yeah.
vital information to have, and especially, I know when I did the initial tour of the shelter under the current executive director's predecessor, at that time, they'd advised there were a couple times a year where they were really pushing capacity, but they still, or, having no vacancy, but they were still comfortably able to accommodate everybody, and to hear that that's
Yeah.
potentially no longer the case, obviously, is a cause for concern, and to be able to inform that with some other data would be very helpful. But, and Councillor Parslow, you'd like to ask another question?
Just to piggyback on what you were saying there, my omission, there's so much going on in my life, but...
Can we get his mic turned on, please?
What's that?
Oh, I'm just getting your mic. Go for it.
Okay. Yes, in some of the roles I play, I'm in contact with BC Housing and other things, and they've been giving some presentations in this community to different agencies with the notion of having a stronger presence in our community. And I'm playing telephone tag with a manager in Prince George, whereby suggesting that when they come up in July, that they have a session with council and staff around all the options that are available, because I think council will have to play a role to have that stronger presence from the point of view of providing an engagement with data. Okay, so just know that there's been a number of meetings in this community. Different agencies have been involved, and they're coming again in July. And when I know the date, I wanted to talk to staff about possibly being a session for council, so they have an awareness and perhaps a better insight and maybe provide some direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. If that is it for the CAO update, thank you, Kevin. 13 diary, nothing there. 14 consent calendar. Anyone want pulled from the consent calendar? Are we all good? Do we need a motion to accept the consent calendar? If we could get a motion, Councillor Sudnick, Councillor Kempf. Call the vote. That's everyone, thank you. And it is all in favor. Media question period. We have no media present, so we are going to move on to recess to close meeting. 16.1, resolution to move the meeting of council closed to the public agenda items 2.1 and 6.1, section 91J, information that is prohibited or information that, if it were presented in a document, would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that, in view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were made public. And then we've also got the late item agenda addition, section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and section 91J, information that is prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. So if I could get a motion, Councillor Sudnick, Councillor Apollonio. Yes, thank you very much. Take care. Everybody, vote is live. We good? Wonderful. Oh. Okay. And it is all in favor. Thank you very much. We are going to take a few minutes.